Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 377, an intro to Conformance, Part 2, the role of truth in conformance. The podcast objectives are analyze the relationship between truth and standards, analyze the role of truth in conformance, and give a call to hold fast to the truth. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. A sure foundation. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 150 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, we began our analysis of the focal degree of obedience, enter conformance. In that podcast, we provided a definition for conformance. We revealed the primary illustration of conformance, and we analyzed the crucial role of standards in conformance. In this podcast, we will progress these analyses a step further. In doing so, I would like to first revisit the primary illustration of conformance in our quest. Enter a railing system, but not just any railing system, vis-a-vis a persistent barrier between the way of holiness and the troubles of this world. Here lies the inflection. To it, the single thread that connects every model of conformance and the most prominent and powerful component of our mind and our entire being. Consider this. The railing system of conformance is made up of all the standards we receive via compliance. And these standards are all revelations of truth. My dear friends, this is a powerful revelation which reveals three key matters. First and foremost, it is yet another witness to the line upon line approach to perfecting holiness. For without these standards of truth, there could be no railing system. And without the railing system, no one could complete this quest. No one, which is why Yahushua Messiah reveals, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Secondly, it reveals that the railing system of conformance is dynamic. Vis-a-vis, it is activated as we walk in compliance to the standards of the Father's will. Ergo, the moment you stop walking in compliance is the moment you will notice your railing system becoming obsolete and disconnected. And when you look again, the entire structure is gone. Last but not least, and as I said before, the standards of conformance are established upon the most powerful and prominent component of our being. Enter truth. By definition, truth is agreement with a standard or an establishment, perfect accuracy in alignment with a position and or principle, the transcendent reality evolving from one's faith. Now, there are many things I can say about this definition of truth, and I trust Yahuwah will allow me to do so in a future podcast. But for the purpose of this lesson, we must constrain ourselves to focusing on the relationship between truth and standards. I'll begin by offering the following treasure box. The standards governing our actualization of compliance and conformance are established upon truth. Ergo, where there is no truth, there can be no standards. Here lies the inflection and the problem. One of the biggest problems we have witnessed during the Restoration movement. As such, I will offer it formally, and I'd advise you to bookmark it and never forget it. Many within the extended nation of Israel are failing to conform to the standards of the Father's will for the simple fact that they are not walking in truth. What these individuals fail to realize is sure, vis-a-vis, there is no spiritual value in our obedience if we are not following the truth. Remember, the baseline of obedience is authority, and thus, where there is no authority, there can be no reasonable expectation of obedience. Likewise, truth is the standard of authority. Ergo, where there is no truth, there can be no obedience. This is why I label truth as the most prominent and powerful component of our being. Remember, obedience and faith are the foundation of all spiritual power. And these leading degrees of holiness are established upon one sure foundation: truth. Hold fast to the truth. Now, Jeremiah 7:28 is revealing, but you shall say to them, this is a nation that did not obey the voice of Yahuwah, their Elohim, nor did they accept instruction. Truth has perished and has been cut off from their mouth. Romans 2:8-9. Wrath and displeasure to those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, affliction and distress on every human being working what is evil. Galatians 3:1. O senseless Galatians, who has put you under a spell not to obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahushua Messiah was clearly portrayed among you as impaled. And Galatians 5:7-9 is revealing, you were running well. Who held you back from obeying the truth? That persuasion does not come from him who calls you. A little leaven leavens all the lump. Now, the sum of these verses validates the relationship between obedience and truth. Look here, Romans 2 clearly states wrath and displeasure to those who do not obey the truth. Brothers and sisters, Shaul could not have been more clear. If you are not walking in obedient faith to the will of Elohim, the only true authority in the heavens and on the earth, he will destroy your soul forever in the lake of fire. Believe it. Shaul goes on to ask the Galatians, who has put you under a spell not to obey the truth? Here lies the inflection in a sore evil that many have taken lightly, and yet it is a great destroyer of souls. Consider this and beware. Those who don't obey the truth are to some degree under a spell, for truth is a feature of our spiritual mind, and thus it would take a strong delusion to keep men and women from obeying the truth, especially after the truth has been revealed to them. Now, that said, the question of the hour is, how have so many in our world come to be under such a strong delusion? The answer is sure, and I have covered it thoroughly in a prior podcast. In End Times 286, the sequence of the sealing of the Set Apart Ones Part 2, which was posted on June 3rd, 2024, we analyze the Great Falling Away. If you recall, the Great Falling Away is the third of the 7 major events in this current season of sealing. And if you recall, I made it quite clear, using the word of truth, why many in our nation are falling away. It's because they are having pleasure in unrighteousness. For this cause, they are not only being led astray by the enemy, but they are also under a strong delusion that was sent by Elohim. And this strong delusion has closed their eyes to the truth, such that they should believe a lie. Now, the question we should chiefly entertain is, what does it mean to have pleasure in unrighteousness? That, my friends, is the question. For it has been written, these will all inherit endless death. The answer is sure. Those who delight in unrighteousness are those who walk in disobedience to the commands of Elohim. They are those who refuse to guard his commands. We know this because obedience is the primary affliction of faith. Ergo, every step we take in the way of holiness contains a factor of obedience and affliction. This is why so many are choosing to have pleasure in unrighteousness. It's because they don't want to experience the affliction associated with obedience. Alas, they would rather enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season and be cast into endless death than to guard the commands of Elohim. Not only this, but Shaul is revealing, in order that all should be judged who did not believe the truth, but had delighted in the unrighteousness. In this line, he makes it clear that all who delight in unrighteousness do not believe in truth. Here lies the inflection and the problem. To wit, if you do not believe in truth, you do not believe in Elohim's authority. That's a fact, for we have proven and hardened the association between obedience, authority, and truth throughout this lesson. Listen to me. This is why Shaul is saying every deception of unrighteousness in those perishing is because they did not receive the love of the truth in order for them to be saved. And for this reason, Elohim sends them a working of strong delusion for them to believe in the lie. In this line, Shaul adds love to the equation. To wit, he is confirming that our love for the truth is a confirmation of our love for Elohim. And trust me, Yahuwah will not destroy those who love him. Quite the contrary, he will destroy those who do not love him. To wit, all the unrighteous and those who are refusing to guard his commands. For look, listen, it has been written, if you love me, guard my commands. To paraphrase, in line with this lesson, if you love me, honor my authority and conform to the standards of my will in the spirit of obedient faith. Now, I appreciate the difficulty of these matters. We live in a world and during a time where lies and error are so prevalent. Truth has not only fallen in the street, but it is being hidden. For the judgment of this world is coming. It is so very near. And so, my advice to you in these last days is simply this: hold fast to the truth you have received. For the moment you let go of the truth is the moment you lose it forever. And then, whose report will you believe? Now, here is the final word. Listen to me, and whatever you do, don't let go of what is true. Brothers and sisters, you must believe me. I have seen what happens when men and women let go of the truth they have received. I have seen what happens when men and women who were once called willfully walk in disobedience, refusing to guard the commands of Elohim. And I have seen what happens when they attempt to justify their disobedience and the nonconformance of those around them, their parishioners and their leaders. Trust me, not only will this facade not end well, it's not even going well. Alas, a world of pain. For they broke through the railing system of conformance, and now they're on the devil's domain. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on the word you have heard today. And as always, ask the Father to reveal the truth to you. For the children of Elohim live by conviction. And if he has not convicted you, or if you had not heard him concerning these matters, you should pray until you do. Today, I want you to meditate on the role truth is designed to play in your life. And I want you to pray, asking the Father if there are any areas of your life where you are not conforming to his standards. If there are any areas, he will reveal them to you. And then you, my friend, must walk in obedient faith to the truth he will share, always remembering that the only way you can receive more truth is by adhering to the truth you have already received. Otherwise, you will get nowhere. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 377, an intro to conformance, part 2. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 378, an intro to conformance, part 3. I will post this podcast on Friday, November 29th, 2024. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.